Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. This podcast features powerful hypnosis, so do not listen while driving or operating machinery. This recording is not suitable for those with epilepsy or severe mental health issues. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and in today's episode of The Hypnotist, you're going to be listening to a hypnosis session created for a client that wanted to activate their very highest standards. This was an individual that in the past had performed at a very high level, started to build a very high level reputation, and had been working amongst the very best in their industry. And through relocating to a different part of the world, felt that they weren't living up to the highest standards that they were before. So what you're going to be listening to in this particular hypnosis session is a form of regression to the previous version of themselves, but also what's in NLP terms would be called modeling. So it's modeling the strategies, but also modeling the resource states, the belief systems of those people that were the epitome and the representation of what they would want to be like in this new role that they were expecting to be joining soon. So what this is really all about is activating high standards. The high standards itself may not be attainable for every person, but it's the aspiration to constantly evolve and improve those standards that can enable anyone to be the very best in their particular niche. If you're listening to this and you feel that you're not, maybe in the workplace or maybe in a different context within life, at the best you've ever been, this session might be useful, but just be aware that it was created for a high-flying lawyer and may not necessarily be fully relevant to you and your situation. So if you are looking for something a bit more bespoke, there will be a link in the show notes to schedule a free consultation call with me to explore working with me directly. But you might find that even though this was created perhaps for a person in a different industry, the essence of this session is about tapping into higher standards and modeling those people that you feel have the qualities that you would like to possess. So to get the best out of this session, it's worth thinking in whatever industry you're in, perhaps two people that represent the very best in your industry. They do things the way you would like to do things, but also a time in your life when you are at your very best. And then, although you'll be listening to something created for someone else, you'll be able to get more out of this session for you. So find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed, relax, and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in. And as you breathe in, imagine breathing in a wonderful feeling of calm and relaxation. And as you exhale, just allow any feelings of worry or stress or tension to gradually, breath by breath, leave your body. As you breathe in on the next breath, I want you to be aware of where you feel most tension in your body. Maybe in your forehead, your jaw, your neck or your shoulders. And paradoxically, I'd like you to increase the amount of tension in that location. You can do that by tensing the muscles, scrunching your face if it's in your jaw or your forehead. Really tense that body part. And then on the next inward breath, feel like you're breathing in a resourceful feeling of relaxation, so that on the outward breath, you can then release that tension. And in doing so, the contrast allows you to feel like you're letting go. As you breathe in and breathe out, just allow yourself to relax deeper and deeper. If your eyes aren't already closed, then just close them on the next breath. Position your body in a comfortable way and allow yourself to really let go, releasing that tension, feeling it leave your body in that outward breath. As your body relaxes, I want you to imagine that your mind is awakening, open to new ideas, new possibilities, as to what it means to be at your best. Best, of course, is subjective. In any game, in any industry, there is, of course, talent and reputation that plays a role. But I want you to accept the suggestion that you have the ability to be the best that you can be, and that sometimes tapping into the resources of those people that represent those qualities that you would aspire to have in you is a shortcut, a way in that game of snakes and ladders to fast track your own progress. I want you to use the power of your imagination to think of someone in your industry that represents ultra high standards. But I want you to picture them as a movie where they are at their very best. And I want you to notice the qualities that they seem to possess when you see them at their very best. Maybe it's the drive. Maybe it's a dynamic nature. They get things done. Maybe they're a self-starter and they seem motivated and full of energy. Maybe they ooze that confidence, come across as charismatic. Or maybe it's their ability to have laser beam focus on whatever is the most important thing for them to do until that thing gets done. Maybe they're organized. Or maybe they can bounce back from setbacks or failures quickly, like water off a duck's back. Maybe it's their listening skills or their ability to persuade or light up a room. I want you to notice the qualities in the context that you're observing them just within your imagination. The things that they seem to possess that if you possess those same qualities, it would dramatically increase your ability to raise and meet those standards. I want you to imagine seeing this person being at their very best and seeing them in action in a situation that requires them to be at their best. Maybe it's a tight deadline, high pressure, high stakes. See them in the kind of environment that they thrive in. And in doing so, I want you to imagine that those qualities are not unique to them. Those qualities may exist in high-performance athletes or sports professionals, people in other industries. I want you to get a sense that the rainmakers, the doers, the leaders have certain desirable qualities and characteristics that if you were to activate those qualities in you, you would be unlocking latent talent. In almost every species, there are certain things like growth or adaptability that are only activated under certain triggers. Even in the plant kingdom, I want you to imagine a seed. A seed can remain a seed for years, but is activated with moisture to start to sprout. That it will remain just a seed for almost eternity until the conditions are right to activate that seed. And I want you to look at that person that possesses the qualities that you would like in you and accept the idea that these qualities are not genetic, not by luck. These are qualities that are activated. Some of these qualities would have required a setback, a failure, a challenge, a decision, a spirit of competition, a feeling of regret or guilt that they let someone down. That a lot of those things that people would deem to be a setback or a disappointment or a failure sometimes are the very things needed to activate those qualities that other people admire. I want you to imagine shifting your perspective so you feel like you are walking into the body of this person that possesses those qualities, that work ethic, the ability to perhaps build relationships, to get things done no matter what it takes. And I want you to imagine shifting your posture and your facial expressions to mimic how this person would be if they were in your situation now. Breathe the way they would breathe. Have the same level of muscle tension they would have. Create the same facial expression they would have. And in doing so, I want you to notice where it feels like those resources exist. And what if you were to encapsulate all of those attributes and qualities and just consider yourself driven? And maybe you're driven for a desire to succeed, to deliver. Maybe it's a carrot, like exceeding expectations, or maybe it's a stick that you simply don't want to let people down. I want you to ask yourself that question. What am I driven by? And sometimes the most successful people are driven not by what they want, but what they want to avoid. And sometimes the biggest motivator is to not be less than what they're capable of being, to hold themselves to the highest standards. And I want you to imagine that you are holding yourself to those highest standards. I want you to imagine you're walking into a room and there is a door, and behind that door is you in the past when you were at your best. I'll count down from 5 to 1 and you'll imagine what it would be like to observe you at your best through the eyes of this person when they were at their best. Starting to count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, opening the door, walking through the door, and then seeing you at a time in your life where professionally you were at your very best. I want you to notice the clothes you were wearing, your posture, your habits, the focus, the concentration, that self-belief, competency. And I want you to get a sense that anything that has existed in the past is possible to access again if the conditions activate that latent ability and capability. Just like the seed needs the rain, I want you to get a sense that you at your best need certain circumstances, and I want you to imagine that you're seeing yourself surrounded by the circumstances that cultivate the highest possible standards within you. And maybe you notice what they are. Maybe it's the competition of people you're working with. Maybe it's a goal that you're pursuing, a promotion, advancement. Or maybe it's a standard to compete with the very best. Whatever it is for you, just observe that. And then again, shift your perspective so that you're now entering your body, almost like you're a ghost possessing your body, the body you had back then when you were at your very best. Breathe the same way, have the same posture, the same facial expressions, feel like you are reactivating all those neural pathways that existed when you were at your very best. And then I want you to get a sense, really connecting with you at your very best, the highest standards. I want you to think of a football player. A football player that was very talented, did extremely well. But then when they moved to a different team or a different country, they lost their way for a short period of time. And then perhaps, when they moved again to a different team or a different country, they were able to activate all the qualities they had when they were building their reputation. And I wonder what it would feel like to feel that this time in your life is the wilderness. This is the time where you had to go away to realize that in the past, you at your best was activated by those variables outside of you. Other people, other factors, other clients. But what if that was necessary for you to reach a point where you could activate you at your very best simply because you will it to be so? And as you hold that thought, I want you to imagine seeing yourself at your current age, in your current situation. And I want you to imagine that you're taking the qualities, the standards of the person you admire and respect the most, but also you at your very best. Compound those qualities and imagine teleporting, almost like you're waking up in your own body at this point in your life, but with all the resources and the standards of you and this other person at their very best. And I want you to imagine, what would you do? what would you do to immediately either create the variables where you know you thrive, or create the inner criteria for you to raise your standards? And maybe you can imagine what you would do to find the right working environment, how you would position yourself, how you would create that halo effect. So as people see you, maybe a future employer, maybe future colleagues, they look at you the same way that when you saw someone at their very best for the first time, they had an aura, an energy, a gravitas, a charisma that you knew they were going to do great things. So imagine what you would need to do over the next few days, weeks, and even months to build up momentum, to get match fit, to activate all of those qualities and capabilities that were there, are still there, and will be, plus additional capabilities that you haven't even activated yet. Feel what it would feel like to activate those, and then imagine you're doing whatever is necessary to get back on track. Like you're a football player having a season or two in the wilderness and then returning as a conquering hero, as someone that carries that aura that represents the next big thing. And allow your mind to be open to what is necessary, what is useful, but also a deep inner feeling that you are driven and you have the highest standards and you're looking to raise those standards. That you being your best is more important than anything else. I want you to get a growing sense of optimism, self-belief, a conviction that the future is looking very bright for you. And over the next few days, ideas will pop into your head as to what your standards are, but more importantly, what you can do to meet those standards. And every time you meet a standard, maybe of work ethic or productivity or organization, you will feel more and more like the person you're destined to be, creating more and more momentum, creating a feeling of certainty and invincibility. Tap into that feeling, hold on to that feeling, and then feel like you're returning to the present, listening to my voice. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, fully integrating into this moment in time right now. As I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you, you will awaken feeling optimistic, feeling inspired, feeling driven, starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.
Thank you for listening to The Hypnotist with Adam Cox, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. To automatically receive the latest episodes, please subscribe. If you'd like to support the show, please share this episode with just one friend you think it could help. And if this episode helped you, please leave us a 5-star review.